Hello, I'm Emma Brown, and welcome to Buried Treasures. Join me again as we continue walking through the Bible to discover God's many hidden secrets. Follow me as we reach out with both hands and try to touch the face of God. The places where heaven and earth come closest and give us some sense of what life is really all about.
Teacher, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel.
Follow me as we seek out life-changing experiences together, as we explore more treasures that are being uncovered, popping out of an earth that is no longer hiding its secrets and treasures, but is intent on sharing them with us. Treasures that can make the poor rich, help find and save a lost soul, strengthen the believer, show us the truth and take us back thousands of years in time. Treasures that surprise us and reveal to us the ancient histories and mysteries of God and mankind. Follow me as we discover the buried treasures of God. We are in a time when it seems as if God is now bringing his treasures to us. Why? Is he trying to reach us? What does he want from us? What does he want us to know? Does he love us? Who knows? Let's see where he wants us to go. I'm prepared to listen and follow. Are you? If we take a visit to the British Museum, we can go back thousands of years in time and see with our own eyes amazing pieces of evidence of both archaeological and biblical significance. For instance, you can take a look at a very old piece of clay called the 11th tablet of the Gilgamesh, which was made thousands of years ago by the Mesopotamians, who told their versions of the story of Noah's Ark and the flood hundreds of years before the first book of the Old Testament was even written. How did the Mesopotamians know about the biblical story of Noah in the book of Genesis if it wasn't written? There can only be one way. It happened. Here we have absolutely rock-solid evidence of the Great Flood imprinted on solid clay. Did you know that there are stories of Noah and the Great Flood documented as history or legend in almost every region on Earth? A man named H.S. Bellamy in Moons, Myths and Men believes that there are stories of the Great Flood that were recorded in 500 flood legends worldwide. Let's now look at one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The Bible tells us many stories of a king called Nebuchadnezzar, who is most famous for the legendary city he built called the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, which was constructed for his homesick wife to remind her of the homeland in Persia. These famous gardens are now documented in our history books today as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and the only one of the wonders that may have been purely legendary. As usual, scholars doubted whether Babylon ever existed until archaeologists stood in awe as they discovered the remains of the ancient city walls of Khazar, also called palace or castle, a temple of Marduk which also contained shrines to Ea and Nabu. We can still see many parts of the ancient city-state of Babylon today, near present-day Al-Hilla, Babil province in Iraq. Ancient stone tablet recent discoveries are the drawings of the Tower of Babel with King Nebuchadnezzar II on an ancient stone tablet. These drawings have clear images of the Tower of Babel as recorded in Genesis 11:4. And they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city, and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven." There is also a clear image of King Nebuchadnezzar II standing next to the Tower of Babel. Bible prophecies were told by the Hebrew prophets in Jeremiah 50 and 51, and Isaiah 13:19 and 14:23. The prophets of God said Babylon would be overthrown permanently and it would be reduced to swampland. Babylon will be a heap of ruins, a haunt of jackals, an object of horror and scorn, a place where no one lives. Jeremiah 51:37. In the 1800s, when archaeologists excavated Babylon, there were many parts that could not be excavated. Why? The reason being that they were under a water table that had risen over the years, just as predicted by Isaiah 14:23. I will turn her into a place for owls and into swampland. Let's now go back to the Holy Land and visit the most popular tourist attraction, with the exception of the Wailing Wall, a place called Qumran on the northwest shore of the Dead Sea. This site boasted a Jewish population as far back as 800 BC, and for 200 years it was home to a breakaway group called the Essences. They lived and studied here and were Qumran's true claim to fame.
The crew walked through what had been a large building indeed, comprising of assembly halls and a central dining room, a kitchen and baths, a laundry room and watchtower, a stable and pottery workshop, and most importantly, a scriptorium. Here, among the desks and inkwells over 2,000 years ago, the Essene scribes wrote the famous Dead Sea Scrolls. These Jewish historical documents were discovered here in 11 caves in 1947 and 1956. Probably the most important discovery of our time, the scrolls have had great impact on biblical scholarship. Most curious among them is the Copper Scroll, which lists 6 the party learned that these 2,000-year-old scripts are identical to our Bible today.
While we are here sitting on the western shore of the Dead Sea, let's see where King David hid from King Saul, here in En-Gedi.
Having done a bit more research on En-Gedi, the group had realized that it was far more important than they had first thought. It receives more than one mention in the Bible and raised a few questions. For example, how could people live in this inhospitable place without shelter, food, and water? It was the lowest place on earth, and the daytime temperatures were unbearable in the summer. As they walked through the gates of what is now a national park, their questions were swiftly answered. They came to the end of a winding path. There, sitting on the western shore of the Dead Sea, was a large and beautiful oasis. 4 streams run through this place year-round and fed from the mountains. Millions of gallons of clear, fresh water are available for agriculture and bottling. En-Gedi is a sanctuary for many types of plants, birds, and animals, including plants from the tropical desert like the Sodom apple, acacia, jujube, and poplar. Balsam was the specialty of En-Gedi, and the fruit was used to produce a valuable perfume used in trade. This boundless supply of fresh, clear water has created both desert and tropical environments, and there is a diverse selection of animals to be found here. Foxes, wolves, hyenas, and the famous leopards all reside in this paradise in the wilderness. Many birds are to be seen, and magnificent vultures and eagles breed and soar above the cliffs. Reptiles exist, including the black viper, Israel's deadliest serpent. Both tropical and Mediterranean fauna can be seen, and due to the abundant water supply, the place has been a magnet for humans since time.